You know, if you kept a business going for 35 years, there is probably a really good reason people keep coming back time after time, right?
Oh yeah, quality. And for Glenn's Market in Watertown, that reason is the quality of their meat, and they have it all. But one kind in particular caught my attention, their homemade bratwursts. They create some of the best tasting, most unique flavored brats I've ever had.
I was selling meat out of my truck, and I used my front porch for a freezer for the first 3 months.
Times have changed, and business has grown quite a bit since Glenn Roberts first delivered meat to homes in Watertown.
Well, I bought a place called Bacher's Market in 1983 because I was going to start cutting meat for the wholesale route. I was not intended to do retail at all.
But today, it's Glenn's retail market and the quality of meat that he provides which brings customers to him.
We get them from Rockford, Madison, Wautoma, some people from the Chicago area. We get them from all over. We do all kinds of stuff. We make homemade sausages, we do catering, we do deli, make a lot of homemade brats.
Originally, Glenn's Market only offered 2 types of brats. You had your choice of pork or beef. That's it.
And then I got this idea to do the brat of the week. And the whole idea of the brat of the week was that you were only going to be able to buy that brat that week. Well, that didn't last very long because customers came in and kept asking for those brats of the brat of the week. So now we do 30 different kinds for the brat of the week, and we have a bunch of other ones we don't even put on there, so we have about 50 different kinds of brats now.
Actually, I think we cut one out that wasn't selling, so I think we're back down to 49. We kind of vary them depending on if they're really selling or not selling, and you know what people really like.
Glenn's son Jeff knows a thing or two about brats. Since he was a kid, he's been here, whether he liked it or not.
The thing I remember most is working and all my friends going out. Actually, is what I remember the most.
I would make sausage during the week, and they would come and package it on Sunday afternoons.
Jeff and the rest of the family used to make sausages by hand, but over 3 decades, they've had to adapt their brat making process to keep up with demands of the customer, and they got it down.
You grind it, mix in your seasoning, mix in a little bit of water, grind it all up, and basically you take it from there and put it into a mixer that gives it nice and defined, and then put it into a stuffer from there, and we put it into a casing, either a natural or a collagen casing, and we actually have a linker, which actually links them for us. And so it shoots out of the linker, out of the stuffer. Then we cut them. You basically cut them in between the casings, package them up, and they're ready for people to use.
Of the nearly 50 flavors of brats, they include jalapeno chicken, bacon cheese, Parmesan garlic, honey barbecue, ghost pepper, cranberry, and even blueberry bratwursts. And figuring out the combination of meats, spices, and cheeses the customers like and when they should sell them is very important.
Like we have a corned beef brat, which we do at St. Patty's Day, and a Reuben brat, which we do at St. Patty's Day. So you got to use corned beef because that's kind of the thing.
The meat, spices, cheese, and variety are essential to the taste of their plump brats. And even for a guy who's been making bratwurst as long as he can remember, it's still difficult to pick a favorite.
Depends on what day of the week it is. Sheboygan's probably most of the time. Mushroom Swiss I really like. Today we have pepper cheese, I really like those. Something with cheese usually, but yeah, I have a favorite brat and I just eat a lot of them.
Oh, don't we all just eat a lot of brats too? And your dad, 35 years he's been doing this, and you know, it's interesting. He said, you know, I thought it was just going to be a couple days a week. All of a sudden it turned into 7 days, and now he's still working 6 days a week, and he's working. That's why he's not here right now. Jeff Roberts is in with us in the studio. I got to ask you before we get going into how to cook the perfect brat. What was that one brat of the 50 that you guys decided to discard?
I believe it was a maple brat.
A maple brat.
Which sounds good to me. Like
tasty,
kind of a
right?
Yeah, maple sweet.
Sounds like breakfast, but
right.
for whatever reason, maybe people don't want breakfast for lunch.
It just didn't pan out for you. Okay, so what is the most important thing that we need to know when cooking one of your bratwursts or another bratwurst?
Well, I think the most important thing is not to double cook your bratwurst.
Okay.
You know, what I mean by that is basically a lot of people are brought up boiling brats.
Yeah.
But what you really want to do is you want to simmer the brat actually. So take a pan, a little bit of water in the bottom, and just partially cook them in a simmering pan.
Okay.
And then actually take them, put them in an ice bath, stop the cooking.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit of carryover cooking that happens that stops them from getting a little bit warmer. And then you can take them and put them on the grill after that.
Really? See, I was brought up where we soaked them in Old Milwaukee. You just soaked them.
Just boiled them in beer, right?
For a while. They were almost cooked, and then we'd throw them on. So no can do, right?
Yeah, no, you don't really want to, because if you're double cooking it, basically you're just making the brat drier.
Okay.
Really?
And there's another thing too that you had mentioned to me when I was out at the market. You don't do what to the brat before cooking it or during cooking it?
Well, a couple things. Actually, you don't want to puncture the brat.
You don't puncture the brat. Fair enough. And why is that?
Because basically all you're doing is you're letting the juices out. You know, the whole idea of the casing is to keep all the meat and goodness and juices in.
And the spices too, yeah.
And you
all
don't,
the flavor.
so you don't want to let all that out.
Okay, and what's the other thing?
Then basically, once you do that, the other things you want to remember is when you do grill them, to kind of keep them at a medium heat. The problem with keeping it at high heat is basically the casings tend to burst because the brat expands faster than the casing will.
Interesting. So
that's why they all break
you got
open.
the grill over here already ready to go, and you guys, because we had to move it indoors, you guys already cooked some, as you can see. Lift up the grill. Let's see what this thing looks like. Now this is an electric grill, which is kind of interesting. It's not propane and it's not charcoal. It is electric, but you've already cooked 6 of those. And then what's the idea? You want to put them right on the grill fresh, correct?
Correct. That's what I prefer to do. I prefer to put them right on the grill fresh. That way you're not double cooking them basically again. And then also they will get fully cooked on the grill. You don't necessarily have to boil them. So that really works well. What you can do also is once you do get them done, like this here, is basically you can go ahead and just take a temperature of them. If you're worried about them actually being done, what you can do is you can take their temperature, basically get them to 160 degrees.
160 degrees,
Yep.
okay, that's good.
And what you want to do is you want to actually use your thermometer if you do have one. And what you can do is, once you do get them into wherever you're going to be putting them, is basically going through the end of your brat so you get a good temperature. And then the other thing about the thermometer is that usually the very tip is not where you get your temperature. It's usually up a little bit.
Really? So
Yeah. If you look on the thermometer, there's a little dimple in there, and that's actually where you really get the majority of it.
But now you're putting it back
Now you
in,
put it in
and
the-
I smell beer and onions in there.
Yes.
So now you got the beer and onions, but you're not cooking it though, are you?
Correct. No, we're just going to hold it in there a little bit. Yep.
So
We're
you're
just
on
going
a
to hold
holding
it to keep it.
pattern until we're hungry enough to eat.
Now, when you do your beer and your onions, do you bring that to a boil and then turn it off, or how? Because this is warm. So how do you
Yeah,
do
I usually go ahead and I bring it to a boil. Just the one benefit of that also is you get a little bit of the smell in the house.
Oh, the flavor.
So if you
I
get
wish you
people
guys
there-
could smell this. I'm like, can I get a perfume like this?
Right.
It smells delicious.
Another thing that you guys do at Glenn's Market, which a lot of places don't do, is give back to the community. And talk about your brat house that you have that started up last weekend, and you have every Friday and Saturday throughout the summer.
Yeah, what we do at the Brat House is basically we have a non-for-profit group every Friday and Saturday. They come in and they actually work the Brat House themselves. We supply all the food. And last year, for instance, we actually did 26,000 sandwiches last year.
Wow. And that's you donate that.
Well, then a portion of that gets donated.
Yeah.
Yep. So a little under $30,000 last year got donated
That
to the
is
different
great.
groups.
Wow.
And what types of organizations are they? Because they're all over. Some for kids.
There's a variety of them. Yeah, I mean, we try to do more youth groups, church groups, that sort of thing. One of the things that I'm more involved with is Big Brothers Big Sisters of Dodge County. So I, make sure they get a day also, just for that reason. But we try to focus on the youth, and then those are also the people we try to let them do the work.
Sure.
Also.
Yeah. Well, check it
great.
out.
Yeah.
FOX6now.com for the links and to check out the brats, Glenn's Market in Watertown. It's a little bit of a drive, but I guarantee you're going to
Worth
like
it?
it.
Okay.
And they have some interesting flavors. We're going to grab some of these,
Dress
put
it
them
up.
on some buns. Yeah, get it all ready to rock and roll. Also, they make some of their own pizzas. Look at this video here. This is them, 4 hours worth of making pizzas in a time-lapse video.
Wow.
You do this in your back there, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Do you do a
that looks
brat flavored
delicious.
pizza?
We don't.
You could work on that.
We tried it once. Actually, I tried a ballpark one once, and it didn't really work.
Okay.
More Studio A coming back next.